structures our own power. It becomes easy to remember about the past, how barbaric it was, and sort of distance ourselves from it. Well, anyway, Bentham's panopticon was, as Foucault argues, a principle and not merely a building. It's a general principle of surveillance. And it's been crucially important for the shift to new forms of discipline and new forms of punishment. Bentham brilliantly shows that it's no mere building by arguing, oh, by the way, this same design for this panopticon building would be absolutely appropriate for schools, workhouses, and many other socially utilizable, socially utilitarian benefits. I mean, schools could be built this way, right, so that all the students are working and you can see them and they can't see you easily, and so the principal can be at the top and looking down upon the thing. And Bentham thought, what a wonderful device, this panopticon, this sort of one-way visual presentation of all the surveilled people. Again, to return to my example, you never get to see the face, do you, of the person behind the one-way glass in Macy's who's doing the filming of you as you walk up and down the aisle. Hell, who even notices anymore, right? You don't even notice. Hell, I mean, shouldn't it be outrageous, to sort of this earlier generation of Americans? What the hell are you doing filming me? I don't steal. I'm an honest, God-fearing, tax-paying American. I don't want to be on your damn film, surveilled, watched, filed, numbered. I don't want that. But the ubiquity of this kind of surveillance is just obvious. Also, we've now found out that the telephone is quite a strange instrument to pick up, since God knows who's listening and recording what you're saying. And now the possibility for multiple interpretations reinstitutes itself at a much higher level, because you may in fact say on the phone, I have forgotten my umbrella. It might click off some strange computer by some strange government agency saying, this person's one of those weird interpreters of Nietzsche. And you may only be telling your Aunt Susan that you forgot your umbrella. But you'll already be in a huge bank of information, pre-interpreted in some basement in the city where they are going over it, providing analyses, the companies and the agencies that provide the analyses and so on. Power micrological like this very well may be beneath the level of everyday life. By that I mean, in everyday life we may just walk past it. I mean, I know I do for sure. In a department store, I don't. Well, sometimes I stop and wave at the little guy. And sometimes when I hear a click on the phone, I stop and go, oh, I'm sorry you have this job of listening to all these boring. Have you ever commiserated with a surveiller? Just go, oh, I'm so sorry you don't have anything to do but to listen and open my mail and listen to all these phone calls. And if you ever get lonely, please call and let's talk. This is a nice strategy to adopt. But anyway, the power of Foucault's argument is supposed to be to show that what has happened is not that we've gone from one thing that appears to us, to our sensitive, liberal, utilitarian instincts, as barbaric, to something less barbaric, but to a new mode of discipline and punishment and surveillance, which is itself an incredible effect of the expansion of power, not of its contraction, across many areas of life. Across many areas of life. The sort of spectacle of the scaffold is over. But we still execute people. We just do it behind wall after wall of secrecy. Wall after wall of secrecy. They're still executed, but it happens in a space where we, in principle, can't look. Now, I know that people have run for, say, the governor of Texas and argued that we should put these things on TV, Hell, if we're going to execute them, show it on TV. And, it didn't work out as an idea, and he lost the election. I think if he had sold it to the networks first and then tried it as a political idea, he would have had something. But he didn't try that. Well, the serious point being made by Foucault is not that that old barbaric power of the past has been broken and liberal democracy has won everywhere. No. It's that power has shifted, It has expanded in its intensity, and precisely by becoming even more hidden, macrological, every day in a certain way, sort of seeping in every day, it has become, as it were, even more sort of totalizing, territorializing, if you like, more and more of our lives in subtle but profound ways. So I guess that I wanted to use that example in particular because now we begin to wonder about even Foucault's analysis, if it isn't a bit old-fashioned and we're not in yet another space, because Foucault is still, to my mind at least, somewhere on the borderline between a modern account of power and one that I would characterize as postmodern or after the modern. And it's going to be difficult for me to characterize that in spite of the title of these lectures, which is Nietzsche and the Postmodern Condition, because no one yet knows what the postmodern condition is, because it is not a condition we're in yet. It is a trajectory. As Nietzsche said of the death of God, it is perhaps an event on its way. I wanted to use Foucault's, the example of Foucault, however, to try to show you what genealogies do, how they reverse our perception. So in the case of the feudal period, they show us the reversal that occurs on the scaffold when all of a sudden the person you're tearing apart becomes the hero. And that's not surprising through, when you see through their courage and stamina, they become the hero of that spectacle. The spectacle begins to disappear. We don't, that guy can't be the hero. Well, similarly, the stories we tell ourselves about our institutions are sort of now our institutions under sort of modern, liberal, democratic societies. The stories we tell ourselves is that they are based on legitimacy, consensus, and so on. And Foucault's book warns us that that may be the discourse within which we discuss them, but what makes that discourse possible are the macrological powers of discipline, punishment, and surveillance that undergird that liberal discourse. And again, like as in the case where Nietzsche quotes St. Thomas, one could hardly quote a better source than Bentham, who was a social engineer or a reformer in the tradition of, many others we've encountered since. And this panopticon device to show that a reversed look at this discourse of democracy and so on shows that beneath it are these macrological effects of power. And I would like to say about them that they are differential and highly complex. And I don't know if the Foucault example is enough. One might have to do more still to make this come alive. Let me see if I can try another way to do this. Well, let's take, for example, a situation where it seems as though the only force that's being recognized is the force of the better argument, namely a university setting. That's one I'm familiar with, so I'll take that as an example. Argument within that setting seems to proceed free of power. Knowledge seems to be produced in a way that is interest-free. That's the ideal of research in a way. Interest-free knowledge. Knowledge free of the effects of power. If Nietzsche is right about power, wherever there is knowledge, it will be an effect of power. That will not mean it's not knowledge, folks. In other words, understanding that knowledge is an effect of certain power won't mean that it isn't what is really knowledge. Yes, it will be, but it will be to see, as it were, the other side.